So in this episode, we are at a very special place here on the battlefield in Gettysburg. We're along the Chambersburg Pike, and we're here at the headquarters of General Robert E. Lee. So this site and its history just a few short years ago was actually the place of a hotel. There was a gift shop here. There were different modern structures here, including a parking lot, and an organization by the name of the Civil War Trust, which is now known as the American Battlefield Trust, stepped in and helped save this site. This is probably one of the most prime examples of what the American Battlefield Trust does and the things that they're able to preserve with their work. Today, it has been restored to its original wartime appearance as the Mary Thompson House, or Lee's headquarters, along here on the Chambersburg Pike. So let's talk a little bit about the history of the home and how General Lee come to have his headquarters right here. So in the 1840s, there was a sheriff's cell, and a guy by the name of Thaddeus Stevens was able to buy this house, and he partnered with a widow by the name of Mary Thompson. Mary Thompson was a widow, and she had some children. She had a little dog, and she lived in this house as a partnership with Thaddeus Stevens. She moved in here in the 1840s, and she was here at the time of the American Civil War when it kicked off, and she was also living here when the two armies collided here in Gettysburg, where 10 rows intersected along the Chambersburg Pike. From this angle, you can look at the home, and there's an original photograph from the war where you can actually kind of take a look at this house now as opposed to then. And it really highlights, again, the work the American Battlefield Trust has done to help preserve this home, which is the reason why I love their work, support their work, and I'm an avid member of the American Battlefield Trust, and you should be too. So if you can do it, go sponsor the American Battlefield Trust, become a member. You won't be sorry, and you'll be able to have a hand in preserving sites just like this. This house was built in the 1830s by a guy who built it out of stone that they think come from the railroad cut that runs just to the back of the home here. And the railroad cut, of course, was the scene of vicious fighting on the first day's battle between Confederate troops and Union troops who were battling to drive one another from that area. This home that we see here was the scene of vicious fighting because it's right smack dab in the middle of the first day's battlefield. The Lutheran Seminary is located just there, so she is on top of Seminary Ridge. And again, for 75 years, it was a quiet life here until one day in July of 1863 kind of messed everything up for her. Instead of having a quiet morning with her morning coffee, playing with her dog, she woke up to artillery guns in the front yard and lines of Union troops battling Confederates in the railroad cut area, which you see right behind the home. So we're gonna take a quick look at the house here, and you can see how the stone looks. And again, this stone is probably taken from the railroad cut when it was built in the 1830s. It's been restored, and they have done a tremendous job. Now, we can't go inside, but if you do come here and it's not open, you can look inside of the windows and read some about the home, about the people that lived here, and about how this home was transformed to Lee's headquarters, and also later in its life, of course, a hospital. And then you can also see some literature about the American Battlefield Trust and their preservation efforts, and that is behind the glass, but you could come here and read it. I don't think the camera's picking you up as well as I would like, but yeah, you can come in here and tour this home from time to time. And this is the same exact place where General Lee was during the battle. This is where he used his headquarters, and this is where so many of the most notable Confederate generals met with Lee during their time here at the Battle of Gettysburg, planning out the coming days, July the 2nd and the 3rd. This is probably one of my favorite spots on the July 1st battlefield, just because of the neat preservation history behind it. And it was General Lee's headquarters. I mean, how can you not sit here and imagine what went on inside of the walls of this house, the history that this house made. So it's pretty cool to sit back and think about those things. So you have more interpretive plaques here as you come up to the home behind the house, talking about Confederate General Robert E. Lee arriving here on the afternoon of July the 1st, 1863, just in time to see the Confederate forces drive the Union troops back from these fields through town to Cemetery Hill. And because the site was located on the high ground near the Confederate line, Lee's staff selected it for his headquarters. And if you look beyond here on the horizon, you can see kind of the terrain and how it is on this high ground right near the Lutheran Seminary. Lee made decisions here that led to Confederate assaults for the next 2 days, and this is also where he decided to retreat on July the 4th. Now, he was a busy man here in Gettysburg. He just didn't stay inside of this house the entire time. He was busy on horseback, riding up and down Seminary Ridge, and making these vital decisions that would ultimately lead to a Confederate loss here. And Lee's headquarters complex at or around the Thompson House has no variable account that specifies the location of his headquarters tent. We don't really know where it's at or where it was on this property. But, I mean, you could just use your imagination and maybe guess it could have been somewhere around the garden of the home, or beside the home, or out in the front of the home. So we don't really know, but it is kind of neat to use your imagination just to think about what it looked like at the time and what happened here. So this is a pretty neat photograph by Matthew Brady. It's a panorama shot, and this is mid-July 1863, showing the view of Seminary Ridge. So pretty cool to be able to see Seminary Ridge here where the house sits in a photograph that's a panorama. But this is your view of the July the 1st battlefield now from the Mary Thompson House. So that's just a quick history here of the Mary Thompson House, Lee's headquarters here in Gettysburg. So now we're going to leave here, head to the next location, and if you're ever in Gettysburg, come visit this site for yourself, and you'll be able to see for yourself what the American Battlefield Trust does in a really neat site pertaining to the history here of the Battle of Gettysburg. So until next time, keep preserving history, stay safe. We'll see you soon.
From up here, the world seems small. We can sit together. It's so beautiful, you and me. We meant to be